been all over the map, really. First, our electric use went way down in March and April, as pretty much everything went remote, other than some real essential work and essential research. I watched in March and April as most of the power plants and the ISO in New York went basically had what they called sequestering employees, because they were concerned about employees or operators getting community spread. And there's a whole manual out from the electricity subsector that talks about how to sequester. So we have a plan, because we only have six senior plant operators to the plant. We can't lose them.
When we all, I think most of us, decided not to return students after spring break, our main focus shifted to supporting healthcare, because our hospital is actually on our campus and we serve it with steam. We manage their water supply, and we also manage their electric service from Georgia Power, as well as what's on our district system. With the shift of the university going to remote and not having to worry about its on-campus residents, we all pretty much said, okay, the shift now goes to support healthcare. So it was a big change for us, because we had to set up dormitories, and we didn't know what was going to happen. It's strange, looking back, the reaction, because we weren't prepared for it, and we all started converting buildings and dormitories to overflow facilities. As Bert mentioned, we were all focused on filtration and HVAC and ventilation. So those first few months were really centered around making sure the buildings that were occupied mostly for healthcare, because we even shut research down.
What was interesting, Rob, was that there was about a 2-week period when we went from, hey, everything's kind of operating normal, to everybody's gone, or at least anybody who could leave left. There were some people who we kept on campus because either they performed a truly essential function there, or a student might be safer on campus than in their home country, or traveling for some reason. There were a few hundred, I guess, who stayed. What I and we in facilities were surprised by, I guess it reminded us how dominant the research component of our work is. We in facilities and utilities especially are really living in service to the research labs. We saw maybe a 15-20% drop in steam, in chill water, in electric. It wasn't a 50% drop or an 80% drop. So that was a big deal. And now coming back, I think Bert made this point and Joan made this point. We've kicked on a lot of air handlers. We're moving a lot more air through.
Right.
That itself is much less efficient.
Right.
But our total energy use is still somewhat down, just because of all the activities that aren't happening.
From a district energy point of view, research actually started back on campus back in July last year. So we ramped it back up. It was only down for about 2.5 months. And even during that time, the research that could not have stopped had to continue. So to Ted's point, we only saw about 10% reduction in energy, because we had to keep that 40 to 50% of our campus going at any given time. We did learn some lessons in even the fall. So when spring forward started coming around, we first 3 biweekly periods, we actually had mandatory testing for everybody. So students, staff, everybody had to go through a biweekly saliva-based test. Of course, it wasn't the tickle my brain test. So that was a good thing.
So at Oberlin, we really strive to maintain our student body. And so we've been in person, but de-densified. And so there's a couple of different reasons for that. We also have mandatory testing for our students, and there's some different protocols. We've got 6 stationary engineers, and they are critical to our campus operations, 6 staff people. And so there is a heightened protection over the central plant staff. And making sure that they felt safe and they didn't, we had sort of de-densified strategies for people in and out of the central plant and exposure that they would have. Because if something happened, then we were in real trouble. So the other thing to mention too, in terms of that de-densification strategy, the pandemic hit all levels, the community level, our campus utility level, but also our future planning level. So when we de-densified campus, we also went from 2 semesters to 3 semesters, utilizing the summer months. And so that emphasized the expansion of our chilled water system as part of our sustainable infrastructure program. So when the pandemic hit, we were really focused on modernizing the heating infrastructure. And the pandemic really shed a lot of light over our chilled water system, the current condition of our chilled water system, and the need to expand that because it looks like summer programs are here to stay for Oberlin. And there's some changes in our academic schedule that I don't foresee changing, even when, fingers crossed, we all go back to a normal world.